Music has the unique ability to capture truth in a way few other art forms can. Some of the most unforgettable songs were inspired by things that really happened. In this video, we'll look at 8 songs with unbelievable backstories. Get Well Soon by Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande's Get Well Soon closes her 2018 album Sweetener on a deeply emotional tone. The song is inspired by the traumatic Manchester Arena bombing on May 22, 2017. After the concert, when people were trying to leave, a suicide bomber committed a terrorist attack that left 22 victims dead and deeply affected Ariana's mental health. She was mourning for a long time and went quiet for a while, but came back, channeling her emotion into the music. Though the song never explicitly mentions the tragedy, its 5 minutes 22 seconds runtime serves as a tribute to the tragic date. She also had 40 seconds of silence at the end to commemorate the victims. Beyond that symbolic length, the song was personal therapy for Ari. In interviews, she described battling intense anxiety and PTSD after the tragedy, feeling disconnected and as though she was outside of her body for months. On the album, she collaborated with Pharrell Williams, who urged her to channel those feelings into music, resulting in lyrics layered with inner voices and emotional tension. Ariana described Get Well Soon as a musical hug, offering solidarity to anyone coping with trauma. Critics and fans really liked the song, and Pitchfork called it a career-defining moment, especially its silent ending felt healing and empowering in dark times. While many listeners shared stories of how the track makes her fans feel special. When you listen to it, it really affects you, especially its silent ending, which felt like healing and empowering after dark times. The song remains a moving example of how music can channel trauma into hope, turning personal darkness into comfort for the listener. Duckworth by Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar's Duckworth is arguably one of the most cinematic and mind-blowing storytelling tracks in modern hip-hop. The song closes out Damn by telling a true story involving Kendrick's father Ducky and Anthony Top Dog Tiffith, the future head of TDE, the label that signed Kendrick. Decades before Kendrick would become a global superstar, his father worked at a KFC where Top Dog was thinking of robbing. In a twist of fate, he decided not to rob and kill Ducky that day, simply because he gave him extra chicken and was kind to him. After Kendrick became a rap superstar, his father and Top Dog met in the studio, and at that moment, Kendrick realized had Top Dog went through with what he was planning, he would have gone to jail. Kendrick would have grown up without a father and changed the course of his life forever. The brilliance of Duckworth lies not only in the storytelling, but in how Kendrick weaves this narrative. He raps, because if Anthony killed Ducky, Top Dog could be serving life, while I grew up without a father and died in a gunfight. It gives you goosebumps when you first hear it. This final track flips the entire album on its head and rewinds it back to the first song. It really ties the whole project together. The song earned widespread critical acclaim and is often cited as one of Kendrick's greatest lyrical achievements. It is a masterclass in storytelling and proof that truth really is stranger than fiction. Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. Billie Jean, from Michael Jackson's iconic album Thriller, is one of the most iconic songs ever. According to Michael, the song was inspired not by a real person, but by multiple disturbing experiences he and his family had during the Jackson 5 days. Women would write letters, accusing him and his brothers of being their baby daddy. But, according to his biography, in 1981, a woman started sending him letters, insisting that he was the father of one of her twin children. This woman kept sending him letters, saying she loved him, wanted to be with him, and told him not to ignore their child. These letters turned threatening and stalkerish, and really started to get to Michael, even making him have nightmares. Things got even more disturbing when he received a package. Inside was a picture of a fan, a gun, and a note telling him to kill himself at a specific time. She said that she would take her own life and their babies so that they could be together in the next life. Later on, Michael's family found out that this fan had been admitted to a mental hospital. Crazy story. Legendary producer Quincy Jones nearly cut Billie Jean from Thriller because of its long intro. He believed a shorter version would be more commercial, but Michael stood his ground and ultimately won that debate, and his intuition was correct. The song topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks, sold millions of copies, and became one of the most legendary songs in history. Though the real Billie Jean may or may not have existed, the song's exploration of fame, the stalkers, and the paranoia that comes with it has made it iconic. Dancing with the Devil by Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato's Dancing with the Devil leaves no room for interpretation. It is a brutally honest confessional about her near-fatal 2018 drug overdose. The song was released alongside a documentary of the same name and dives into the depths of addiction, relapse, trauma, and survival. Lines like "it's just a white line, it'll be fine" are too real, referencing how quickly addiction can spiral into life-threatening consequences. Demi doesn't sugarcoat anything on the track. She reveals she was lying to her friends or family, ignoring warning signs until it was too late. At one point in the song, she sings, "Almost made it to heaven," talking about the fact that she had multiple organ failures, 3 strokes, and a brain damage, almost losing her life. The vulnerability in her voice also added to the emotion. Dancing with the Devil is a very important song in her discography. Even though it's hard to listen to, she needed to make it. For Demi, it was a turning point. Not just musically, but personally. She used her platforms not to hide her struggles, like in her early days, but talk about the real, to help anyone who could relate. Jeremy by Pearl Jam. Released in 1991 on the album 10, Pearl Jam's Jeremy remains one of the most haunting songs in rock history, not just for its creepy instrumentation, but for the true story that inspired it. The song was written by lead singer Eddie Vedder after he read a newspaper article about a 15-year-old boy named Jeremy Dell, who tragically took his own life in front of his classmates at a Texas high school in January 1991. The incident stuck with him, leading him to explore the emotional status of the boy who felt bullied and invisible. He expanded on the story with lines like "Daddy didn't give attention," and "the boy was something mommy couldn't wear," imagining his social isolation. The music video was disturbing, eventually being censored by MTV, even though it went on to win 4 MTV Video Music Awards in 1993. It was a pretty big song, going on to peak at number 15 on the UK singles chart. It was very impactful, talking about a taboo subject, about how schools and families could address mental health at a young age. Though Jeremy is difficult to listen to, it is a perfect example of a song with an interesting backstory. Supermarket Flowers by Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's Supermarket Flowers, the closing track on his 2017 album Divide, is one of his most devastating songs, and is based on a true story, written about the passing of his grandmother. The song is from his mother's perspective, vividly painting her grief. It was not originally intended to be released commercially. He wrote it for his family to perform at the funeral, but after encouragement from his father and grandfather, he decided to include it on the album. In the lyrics, he shows the raw emotion of loss, recounting the low details. The line "Hallelujah, you were an angel in the shape of my mom" struck a chord with listeners who shared their own stories of grief and loss after hearing the song. It became a quiet standout from the album, even though it was never released as a single. Supermarket Flowers peaked at number 8 on the UK singles chart without any traditional promotion. Its success showed the power of authenticity, and that when you talk about real things, it connects. It was a heartfelt farewell from a grandson honoring his grandma's life, which is a great backstory. Fix You by Coldplay. Fix You was released in 2005 on Coldplay's X and Y album, and while it has become one of the band's most uplifting ballads, the story behind it is sad. Chris Martin wrote the song as a tribute to his then-wife Gwyneth Paltrow, who had just lost her father, Bruce Partlow. Martin wanted to help her heal, but found himself helpless in the face of that kind of sorrow. He later explained that he made the song around a vintage keyboard that Bruce had gave her, giving the song an added layer of significance. The famous line, "Lights would guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you," is comforting, but underneath is a painful truth. The acknowledgement that sometimes you can't really solve the grief of your loved ones. The song just gets you emotional every time you hear it, and knowing the backstory only adds to that. Over the years, Fix You has been played at countless memorials and tributes, with Coldplay even performing it for Haiti earthquake victims. It has become a global anthem of support and solidarity. Its message is universal, even though it came from a personal family tragedy. I Wish It Would Rain by The Temptations. The Temptations' I Wish It Would Rain released in December 1967, is one of Motown's best ballads, and its backstory is among the most heartbreaking in music history. The lyrics were written by Roger Pensabane, a songwriter of Motown who was dealing with the pain of discovering his wife was cheating on him. Unable to cope with that, he let it out with the lyrics of the song, and the sadness was clear with every word. Lines like "Sunshine, blue skies, please go away, my girl has found another and gone away" aren't fictional. Tragically, just 2 weeks after the single was released and began receiving airplay, he took his own life. The song became both his final artistic expression and his emotional suicide note, a farewell to the world. The Temptations' lead singer David Ruffin delivered the vocals with an intensity that did the words justice. "I Wish It Would Rain" became a hit, reaching number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. But beyond the numbers, it left a mark on soul music forever. The legacy of the song is not just a chart success, but the true story behind the lyrics. Which songs with unbelievable backstories did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.